Hey, we're live. So we're playing. Wow, I got a haircut and it's like way off. Okay, there you go. Hey, Cookinpellets podcast, Reverend Barbecue.
Hello, I'm Junior Cookinpellets.
He's Junior of Cookinpellets. This is our theme song. And we're doing, thank you very much. Thank you. So this is podcast number 3. We are doing the podcast live on Facebook. Did you send it out?
No.
No, you didn't? Okay.
I didn't.
Or not on Facebook, but on you can go ahead, you can do it on Facebook. Do you have Facebook on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have
I don't know where they got to go to, because that's what.
Just YouTube. Go to youtube.com and then look for Cookinpellets. And then they should see us live. Well, should. I mean, we can go ahead and use fancy stuff like this. It's technology. So if I look tired and a little rough today, I am.
We both are.
There's a reason for it. Well, he never looks good. So.
Yeah, true.
So we're not going to sit here on our phones the whole time. I'm actually going to go on and check because it's the first time we've done a live stream on YouTube. So I'm going to check to verify that the YouTube is working. I mean, we're doing our podcast. This is podcast number 3. We're calling it Papa's Pulled Pork, and it says live. So you just click on live, I'm betting. Hey, there you go. Crapolio. And you guys can comment if you like, if you catch us live. You guys can comment, and we'll try commenting back with you.
Were you on the YouTube app or on our page?
YouTube.
Okay.
That's what I said, YouTube. If you guys, it's YouTube. So, but for you guys that are getting this later off the podcast, if you want to watch this podcast, it's YouTube. And look for Cookinpellets, Cookinpellets, and you'll see our lovely mugs. This is it's backwards. I just noticed it says it's backwards here.
What's
see
backwards?
This is backwards in Cookinpellets.
Oh,
anyway, we're just gonna leave it like that. We'll figure it out next time. Everything's backwards on there. Maybe it'll come out right. Who knows? Anyway, so we're talking about pulled pork today, and I So how you doing, everybody? Another Cookinpellets podcast number 3. You're going to hear a little bit of the same thing here, people. Sorry, I didn't push record. I'm an idiot. So we're doing another podcast. Podcast number 3 here at Cookinpellets at the Center Studio. And I'm the Reverend Barbecue.
hello, I'm Junior Cookinpellets.
And this is Cookinpellets. So sorry, we started our live broadcast along with the podcast, but I didn't push the record button for the podcast. So I'm an idiot. So you guys got 3 extra minutes of me being an idiot.
Or 3 minutes of bonus blooper reel.
Yeah, there you go.
Non-funny stuff.
Yeah, no, not funny at all. So we have decided to talk about pulled pork. Papa's world famous pulled pork today.
Yes, and I have one question for you before we start that.
Boy, he was going to tell me he's going to have a question, and the question is, drum roll.
Are you ready to kiss?
I am ready to kiss. And kissing is, there's no kissing. It is keep it simple, stupid. So it's the thing I love to live by. I try anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the KISS principle. So everything I try doing it the just simplest way possible. And the reason is there's no reason to throw extra work into something if you don't have to. So right? Keep it simple. I'm the stupid one. So, So why did we our first podcast was about the company. Second podcast was the basics of pellet grilling. We covered most of it.
Yeah.
Haven't had anybody send us any notes or anything through Facebook, Instagram, or anything that they wanted to know something else, have we?
Yeah, we got a couple things, but
I mean, about the podcast?
Yeah.
Directly?
Yep. But there's things that we got to do a little more before we
can answer those.
Yes.
Okay. So, so what we decided to do is, we're trying to get a set thing to do every week. Okay, and now it's time for Chuckles the Clown or whatever. So, and you know what? I'm not a big Chuckles the Clown fan.
And a lot of people out there don't like clowns, period. They have a phobia.
Yeah. So I decided that for this week that we would just talk about an item off the grill. And maybe we'll do this, next week it'll be tips and tricks and, who knows. But for now, we're going to go ahead and talk about an item off the grill, something you can make, a recipe, so to speak. Some people call them that. It's just going to be an hour-long recipe.
Okay.
Maybe not an hour long because we've killed 3 minutes here and probably 10 on that. But so questions. Do you have questions? Because I know you really don't use the grill as much as you'd like. And it's not because you don't want to. It's because I know you're busy. I know your better half doesn't necessarily dig the grill. and trust me, I would, I ran into the same thing. So, I mean, my beautiful wife ended up, it took her a while before she really dug into it. And now I'm the guy that cleans it. I'm just a boy, and I go over and I get the ash out, and that's all I do. That's all I'm allowed to do. So, let's plays, and I walk over with a bag. Yes, ma'am. So the question is, do you have any questions about pulled pork, making it, doing it, anything? Because you're generally a good buffer of what most people have questions about. I mean, you've made it, so maybe you have. If you don't have any questions, that's fine. We can get right in the skinny of it.
Yeah, on this particular subject, not really. I don't. So let's hear how you do it. And there's a million different ways to do it. So
cook it all 14 hours. Okay, thanks everybody.
All right.
Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Okay, well that's easy. So I'll start with what I used to do, and then I'll tell you my tried and true Papa's pulled pork KISS principle. Okay, KISS, yeah. So Papa's, why is it Papa's? Well, my son, and I have to go through this because it makes a lot more sense. Papa means father in many languages, means grandfather in some. So Papa for me is dad or father. And my oldest boy, when he was a kid, he wouldn't say dad. He just wouldn't say daddy, dada, nothing. So we're rolling through, different languages and try to figure it. I think Julie, my wife, actually said Papa, and he goes Papa, and it's stuck since. So he still calls me Papa. My daughter calls me Papa. And now my kids are young; they're 16 and in a month, less than a month, soon to be 16, and my daughter's 13. But Papa is the general term for me. It's not dad. It's not father. It's never been. So when anything, they love my pulled pork, so they have monikered it Papa's, world famous pulled pork. So I kept it. So because when everybody asks, Papa's pulled pork, yeah, that's Papa's world famous. So
well, it's got a backstory, and that's what makes it interesting. It's
got a backstory. That's you. But, yeah. The phone doesn't ring all day, and now the phone's ringing.
Right.
God. So what I used to do is I used to tinker with it. I would put all kinds of rub on. I'd make a rub. I'd buy a rub. I'd taste. I'd test. I just, this was like mothering over a newborn. And, and a lot of guys out there are going to agree with me. It's like, seriously. I mean, it's like you can go so not. Oh my pork. I'm rocking the pulled pork in my hands right now. So, a lot of guys go way off the deep end. And, and you got to remember, I've had my grill, like my pellet grill, 16 years. So I think I have this fairly down pat for me. So I poke and prod and I test and I do this and I'd wrap and I'd unwrap and I, higher and lower, and I do as much as I possibly can to it to get it, the best you want. You don't want to make crap. So that's what I would do. I would go ahead and make it, the best of my ability. And back in the day, it's like, Bob tells me this, Steve tells me that, Junior tells me something else. So I have 6,000 different things that I'm trying to get into to actually figure out, what is going on. If you hear that thing chime, by the way, podcast, we have the computer chiming off to our left, and we as we're doing this live on YouTube, even though we're taping the podcast, we're doing this live on YouTube, and I don't know if people are chiming in.
It looks like it. My blind eyes can't see, though.
So by all means, you can just lean in and take a look at it, because I'm talking, and if they see you lean in, it's okay. So, but now we know we can't put the camera there.
Yeah,
we have to put the camera on something else, so it doesn't.
I'll lean in, it'll be like walleye vision.
Yeah. So we can't put the camera there anymore. Oh, that's nice.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
So
Sean Cook.
Sean Cook's out there. Hey, Sean.
Canada Connection, Ontario.
Up in Ontario. Yeah, Sean. Anyway, so we are, and you can talk about Sean if you want for a second, because he's out there. Just rub his belly, make him feel better if you need.
We'll get him in, maybe. Please.
Okay.
Definitely get in sooner or later.
Yeah. So, so my pulled pork. So it started out as I would baby it. I was doing the best I could. I'm cuddling and coddling and wrapping, and oh my God, I'm going 3 ends against the middle, trying to figure it out the right way. And good idea. And as I started going through it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like tearing the kitchen apart, and I got crap everywhere. And I am literally making a production out of a pulled pork, or out of a pork shoulder for pulled pork. And it's like, I was pulling my hair out, and I'm like, this can't be this hard. Well, guess what? It's not. So the couple of things that I learned is, one, I don't like sauce. I'm not a sauce guy. I don't like barbecue sauce. And now, mind you, barbecue sauce was made originally for crappy meat, because it needed it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why it was there. And everybody had, there's the Southern, there's the Eastern, there's Western, everybody has their own little spin on sausage, vinegar base or whatever it is. And I like to taste it, but I personally don't like it smothered. I don't like it as the taste, and then there's some chewy stuff in there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's not what I'm all over. So, so I don't use barbecue sauce. It's always on my table. Barbecue sauce is always on my table, but it's not part of what I put in any of my meats or on it. Ribs I make for Julie, fine, because I'm not a big rib eater, but when I make her ribs, I use the barbecue sauce. So what I learned is I didn't find too much different in wrapping. I know guys that will, when they're done with it, that'll let it rest for half an hour. And I'm going to preface all this with, if you got something that works for you, do it, because it's great.
Hi, Mariah.
Mariah's on.
Yeah.
Hey, Mariah, how you doing? So if you got something that works for you, your thing is working, have at it. Do it. I'm not telling you to go any different. I'm just giving you a different outlook of how I do it. And I keep it simple, and this is the way it's works for me. So, so I have utilized resting it. I've tried everything. I've tried, you hear butcher paper, you wrap it in butcher paper. I know some guys that'll, I knew a guy that actually had a cast iron. He loved cooking on a cast iron pan, and he would take the whole shoulder, and he would get the cast iron pan super hot. And he would brown it on all the sides. Meat, fat, the whole thing. He would just try browning everything. And then he would put all the seasoning on it. I don't know if much seasoning got in.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. So that's what he used to do, and that's the way he liked it. Okay, yeah. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't.
Well,
So,
the other thing too is if you're actually searing it before you smoke it, you might be, and you do it in oil, you're closing off the pores, so you're not going to get so much smoke penetration.
right. And I don't know how I have no idea how he was doing it. I mean, I know he was searing it. I don't know if it was oil or what, but okay. And I never tasted his pulled pork, so I have no idea. So, so what I started to do is I'm like, pellet grills have drip pans. Okay. Well, as I'm cooking my first 10,
$3,000 in meat.
yeah, as I'm cooking my first 10 pork shoulders, I find out that there's juice. Mom used to say, juice is good.
Yep. Save the bacon fat.
Yeah, save the bacon. And there's a reason you save the bacon fat, because you can do lots of stuff with bacon fat.
Yep.
So, I'm like, why am I losing all this juice? Okay, there's fat mixed in there, sure, but there's still juice in there. So one of the first things I changed is we use toaster ovens. We like toaster ovens because you can put, like, if all of us are up, we can just cook more stuff in a toaster oven quicker, toast, bagels, whatever. So we can throw more crap in it. And what I found is every toaster oven comes with this pan, give or take 10 by 12 or so.
The crumb pan.
Yeah, the crumb pan. No, the baking pan. And it's got like a 1-inch lip on it.
Okay.
All toaster ovens come with it that I've seen that we bought, comes with this pan, and it's got a lip, about a 1-inch, 3/4, but probably a 1-inch lip on it. So I'm like, well, I don't want to lose the juice. I'll put it in that. So ding, 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 light goes off. So I put it in that. Well, I found out that I should really put some liquid in that. So the first one was okay, not the greatest. I burned a lot of what would be juice and fat because the juice burned off because it was in. So you have to start with liquid. So pan, pork shoulder, liquid. And I fill it right up to the brim. And ask me the kind of liquid I use.
Uh-oh. What kind of liquid do you use?
Hey, I'm glad you asked me that. So I use anywhere from Dr. Pepper, Monster Energy, Coke.
Monster Energy?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. The white Monster is actually, I hate all the Monster drinks. Sorry, Monster. I hate all the M drinks. In fact, we're not supposed to mention things. So I hate all the M drinks, but the white one is palatable. And great, my 16-year-old he likes like just the white, and he tries the blue occasion. And he plays games. So when he goes to this place to play games, he's on a white Monster. Anyway, so I've used that. Root beer is great. Jack and Daniels. So I mean, I've used booze. I've not used booze. There's really no difference. The flavor never follows through, but what it is, it's kind of like when you mix a lot of flavors together, they meld and they taste really good. So all this is a part of that overall experience. You don't ever taste the Monster or the Dr. Pepper or the Coke, but it adds to the flavor. So it's a flavorizer, so to speak, at the end. Okay. So I have a pan. I put the shoulder in it. No liquid yet.
Fat.
Fat side up. Good question. Fat side up, bone in. Bone in. And sorry.
You said bone in.
Bone in. This is the kids. This is the under 18s. Okay to listen. Bone in. And the pork shoulder I buy, I have a local butcher, and I buy a cryovac set. So there are 2 pork shoulders in a bag, fresh, from the purveyor. So they don't freeze it. I mean, it comes fresh. Heel will freeze off. If he sells it, then he'll put it in freezer paper for you. But I mean, it's as fresh as going to get. And they put it in the cryovac so it stays fresher, because it takes 5 days to get it finished and then ready to sell. So if it's really fatty on top, I'll have him trim it back to about a 1/4 inch. But generally, I have him leave it. I find if he doesn't trim it, it just ends up with more grease at the bottom of my pan, more fat, which I don't use, but I'll talk about that. So but and I'll preface with I'm not against any other big box store, warehouse store package. I just like my local butcher. I mean, he does me okay and they're always really good. So that's what I'm used to.
There are different qualities and grades of meat, though.
Yeah.
For your stores, and that makes a big difference if you're trying to get the best experience out of your meat. Is you got to pay attention to the grade of your meat, the quality of the meat.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you'll find through trial and error.
Yeah. 100%. And true statement. And I find that's why I went to him last and only him now. I've tried, the warehouse store, but it seemed to be more fatty and stuff. Usually it's not a problem because you're going to cook that off anyway, if you do it the way I do it. But overall, that's where I buy it from. You guys, if you don't have a local butcher, it's fine. I mean, there's a lot of really good meat counters in grocery stores, so don't discredit that.
And cows in the fields.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you want to go that far, or pigs in a field, so to speak. We're talking pork shoulder. So, but either way, so.
Oh yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. It's pigs.
I was just watching a brisket video.
So I buy it from him. It's trimmed up a little bit. I usually buy two. They're somewhere between 10 and 12 pounds each. And it sounds like a lot, but it ices. You can put it in the freezer and it doesn't hurt. I mean, it lasts pretty long. You can keep it in the freezer for 2 months and there's no difference. Sometimes I actually like it better the next day or frozen. I don't know why, but it's like everything melds together better.
Yeah, yep. Everything is kind of marinates.
Yeah. So I go ahead and I take the pork shoulder, bone in. I put it in the pan, and a 12 pounder fits that pan pretty tight. And I actually put a little seasoning on the bottom because the pork shoulder, you'd think the seasoning would go away in all the moisture. It doesn't, because what's on the bottom is meat. And the pork shoulder will sit on all that seasoning, and it needs to be seasoned. It just won't be barked from, won't have bark from being smoked.
Will that help from sticking to the pan also?
It does a little bit, yeah.
Kind of like cornmeal?
Kind of, yeah. Like in a pizza, yeah, but not the taste. But when you pull those chunks of, like when you pull it all apart, some of it will stay down there. Oh my God, it's so good. It is it's so tasty. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. So pork shoulder in a pan. And then, I was doing all kinds of different blends. I mean, from everybody. I found a couple that I liked. Not that I don't want to. So I use, and I was not going to share, but I'll share. I use Rectex Bloody Mary seasoning. It's really good. I use Caribou, just 5 or 6 different things from Caribou. They are really good. And there's a lot of good seasoning out there, and I'm not picking them out but it's just what I have used and bought. I mean, I can name off a million names. It's whatever you like. I'm telling you what I like, and it works. So some of you guys out there already have certain grills or already use those. Great. If you don't, then you can try it or don't. Whatever works for you. I know what works for me. So I have gone to the extent of a lot of seasoning and then brown sugar. It was okay. And then I did brown sugar and a lot of seasoning. And then what I found is dark brown sugar. So, there's regular brown sugar or light brown sugar, and there's dark brown sugar. And the dark brown sugar has more molasses in it, and it's just enough to get it just a little edge of that sweetness on the final bark. So you weren't here Friday. We had pulled pork. I brought it in Friday, and Junior was out. But
conveniently,
yeah, well,
pulled pork day.
Well, there was more left over. So, but there might be some.
I cleaned the pie yesterday.
Oh, there's no more. Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
So thank you. So the seasoning, use that. I put that on first, and it's a mess. There's no easy way to do it. You put some in your hand, slap it up, put your hand up against it. It's like, here's the pork shoulder. You put your bottom of your heel, your hand up against it, you sprinkle stuff, and you slap it on. I mean, there's no easy way to do it in the pan. And I don't want to do it anywhere else because it makes a mess. If I do it in the pan, then whatever falls to the bottom of the pan, I pick up and I use. So I use pretty much a lot of it. A little stays in the pan. You can't do anything about it. So I get all sides. Then including the fat cap, I go ahead and I do the fat also. I season it. Then I use dark brown sugar. And I'm telling you, for me, not a world of difference, but it made a difference. And I will only use dark brown sugar now. And then I pack that on the outside. Okay. I have been to the point where I've gone salt and pepper and dark brown sugar. And it makes a tasty, porky pulled pork sandwich. But you're talking porkier, it doesn't have as much seasoning. And I think we over season a lot of the things that we use nowadays. Like I think people over season burgers and brisket. I think people just over season. In the day, and I'll say it again, back in the day, you needed to have seasoning because the cuts of meat were rough.
Yeah.
And that's why seasonings were created. Well, guess what? We have better cuts of meat across the board now. So I just don't think you need as much. So, it may look sparse when you do it. Think not, because it really, try it, not packing it in and letting the flavor of the pork come through.
Quick side note, that's exactly why Heinz developed ketchup, because the meat was going rancid back in the day when Heinz started up. So he needed something to cover up that taste of the meat.
Oh,
Ketchup.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
So you say I don't learn nothing.
Did you read that in the book?
No, I watched it. Attention span to read.
So, case in point, that's been around since like the middle of the Civil War, whatever, it's a long time. So yeah, and that's before refrigeration and curing and, good curing and stuff. So, you have to do something with it. So I'm telling all, try it without as much. I still put it on, I still pack it, but it's not packed. It's on. It's, you might see a little bit of space of meat in there, which is fine. And I actually will leave that rest just a couple of minutes, not over temperature, because when you put it in the grill out of fridge, you have to recapture the internal temperature up to where it'll start cooking. And your grill is doing a whole lot of nothing for hours when you can leave it out for half an hour, and really increase that temperature of the whole mass so you don't have to cook it as long. But on cooking long, there's a point to cook. So I don't know if you've ever had a pork sandwich or a pulled pork sandwich. You guys out there too?
Never.
Yeah. Well, no, wait. And a pulled pork sandwich that seemed like it was tough to eat. Might have been a little chewier. It's like, wow, this isn't the best cut of meat.
Yeah.
And then you've had another one like mine that's like unbelievable. It's like tenderloin. It's soft. It's not chewy. It's a really good sandwich. And, the flavor is good on both, but one's really chewy. And as far as I'm concerned, the difference is when you make pulled pork from a pork shoulder, you can fast cook it and get it to that finished temp. Some guys are 180 guys, 190. I'm a 200 guy, internal. Okay. Some guys hit that quick. Quick for me, 5 or 6 hours for a 12-pounder. Quick for other guys, or slow for other guys, like the way I do it, is a 12-pounder's 12 to 14 hours. And, people are out there going, what are you talking about, 12 to 14 hours? Well, the difference of that chewiness versus the soft feel of the sandwich not being chewy, but really good sandwich, is you have to remember that shoulder, your shoulder, same on a pig as it is on you, other than it looks a little different, but the shoulder is just full of tons of connective tissue and fat and gristly stuff. And, there's a lot going on there. You have to cook that out. And that is over time. You can't fast cook out anything. Okay. Again, my opinion. What do I know? Mine's world famous. So when you cook a pork shoulder quick, yeah, you can get flavor to it. You can pull it apart, but I don't think it's done because I don't think it's rendered out the connective tissues and all the fat out of it.
Yep.
So when you cook, a lot of people talk about the stall when they cook a pork shoulder. And they're like, it's on, and it's on for, 6 hours, 7 hours, and all of a sudden it hits 170 and it just stays there. Doesn't go anywhere. It's a flat line. The temperature, the internal temp of that thing seems like forever before it changes. So right around 170 to 185, I'd say, there's this thing going on, and it starts rendering out all the connective tissue and fat from within. So what you end up with is a stall because it is using the heat within. It'll stall at 170, 180, wherever, depending on the grill and what you got going on outside. But anyway, you guys all know about the stall. It just hits a temp and it stays. And the reason it's doing that.
Now I can see the comments.
Oh, awesome. Then you can answer.
Yep.
So the reason, and some people just commented, oh, awesome, great. So the reason it happens is it is starting to render out. So it's rendering out the connective tissue and fat from within the pork shoulder and within the little pieces of meat in there. And then if you pull it quick, it doesn't have a chance to render out all of it. So it's a little chewy. If you let it smoke out, I start mine at 180, about 3 or 4 hours, just to get a base. If it's really cold out, like today, it's 10 degrees out today. Not fun. And what I would do is leave my grill at 225. I'd start at that and leave it at that. And it will go ahead and start and leave at that. It'll render through. When it hits 200 internal, it's done. That's my thing. Just get a digital thermometer, which I wish we had one. I'd show it. And you you throw it in. Whenever you use a digital thermometer, something long with a hook on it, it's like a capital L, and the tip of it is where it reads from. Don't hit that with the bone because it won't read correctly if you drive that into the bone. If you don't know that, most people do. So I get it, just put it in the center, make sure it reads good in the center, and then put it on. But I pull it when it hits 200. And at 200 degrees, it's rendered everything out. So the nice thing about pellet grills, I sleep while I cook, especially in a case like this. I put it on at 10 o'clock at night, maybe 9 o'clock, and then I go to bed. Well, it takes a while to get used to going, okay, I can go to sleep now because it took me a long time before I could go to sleep and go, oh, is the house on fire?
Yeah.
Is everyone out of pellets? Is it, and I'm up every 10 minutes for no reason. It's just stupidity. So anyway, so that's where I bring it in to do a good pork shoulder, a good mouthfeel pork shoulder that isn't chewy. Cook it to 200, and don't cook to time. Cook to temperature.
And that brings us to the wrapping part that you were talking about before. So once you pull it at 200, you don't wrap it. You don't.
No. Now wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little. I progressed a little forward there because I wanted people to understand the whole temp thing.
Okay.
So let back up a little bit. We'll go ahead and so we're at a smothered, seasoned, not overly, but smothered and seasoned pork shoulder in a pan. No liquid yet. Okay, it's in the kitchen. No liquid yet. Grill's been on. I preheat the grill to like 225 or 180, so I can just throw it on there and go. And I pick my liquid of choice. Whatever has fallen off to the side, I try putting back on it, touching it on. Salt and pepper isn't bad. When I mentioned salt and pepper for a pork shoulder, it's not bad. but it's not like super flavorful because you really got to use a lot of pepper and not a lot of salt because it really doesn't need the salt. It doesn't need a lot of salt because you can over salt pretty easy, but it just needs a lot of it.
Yeah, you can over pepper it too.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. So, I mean, salt and pepper is good. It's if it's a good cut of meat and you know it, salt and pepper it. If you want to try something different, you want to use more barbecue sauce, have at it. I always, like I said before, barbecue sauce is always on my table. It's never on my food. I offer it to others that want to put it.
Yeah. Kids.
Well, yeah. But I mean, we have a couple people that work for us, and like Ariel sauced up the meat before he even tried it. And I said, Ariel, stop. Try the meat.
Don't insult the chef.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
And he was surprised because he hadn't had our pulled pork before. And I brought it in before, but I think he missed it when I brought it in. So he tried and he goes, wow, that's really good. I said, well, I just, I'm not looking for a, pat my back. I just want to make sure that, you try the meat before you over season it.
Yeah.
And barbecue sauce is a seasoning any way you look at it. So anyway, so I season it. I grab the whole thing, pan, all. I put it inside the grill, and then I go ahead and get my liquid of choice, and I pour it all the way around. Now, I used to check it after X amount of hours. And
it instills in everybody, they just have to do it.
Yeah. And I have learned not to, and I know it's still wet because this is why I leave like a half-inch fat cap, quarter to half-inch fat cap. The fat that renders out of it and off of it and the juice will end up replacing whatever liquid goes away. And the more liquid that goes away when it gets fat and juice in there, the fat really doesn't evaporate. And once it gets hot, but the fat's still there. So you end up with a trade out of the liquid that you started with, but you'll end up with really good seasoned juice and fat that's on there, that's in the pan. So fast forward. Okay, I obviously you got to make sure that the pellets are in the grill and it's got enough stuff in there, and I try keeping the grill out of the wind because that helps. If you can keep the grill out of the wind, you'll keep your temps really good, no matter what temp it is. Outside, you can keep the temperatures of the grill really good. I talked about a digital thermometer, like for brisket, and steaks. I use what's called a rat tail digital thermometer. It's just a thermometer. It's got like a 3-foot lead on it, and it's got that L-shaped, end that's really pointy on one end. And they're, I don't know, $15 at Target or whatever. And I use that on most everything. And I don't, again, I cook to temperature. I don't cook to time. You get used to how many, it's about an hour and a quarter to a pound the way I do it, roughly. I mean, if, the wife's like, hey, people are coming over, what time should I tell them? Okay, I can get a rough idea how long. So if it's really cold out, you got to add a little bit more time because the grill's got to keep up with it.
Yeah, there's too many variables. Ballpark it.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. So anyway, rat tail thermometer is really important. Your favorite liquid is important. Your favorite seasoning. Just don't go overboard. Just try it. That's really important. And then just patience. Do it during the day if you want. If you can't go to sleep, then do it when you're awake. But I'll tell you, there's nothing better than cooking and sleeping because one doesn't get in the way of the other. God, that's awesome. So when I get done with this now, okay, so now we're in there. Now what am I going to do? Okay, so now I have all this time, and I have nothing to do. It's in. I'm sitting there. It's 9 o'clock. I've had 1 or 2 cocktails, maybe, and I'm sitting around. So I'm thinking of other things to do. So this is where some of our posts come from. So I don't know if you've seen the pizza roll post. I'm going to touch on this because it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
And for those of you that haven't seen it, and I don't have any pizza here. If I thought about this, I would have had a pizza. But I'm going to throw this in as a kicker. So, and we're going to continue with the whole pulled pork thing in a bit, but I want to touch on this because it's snack time now. Okay, I'm 9 o'clock. This is a Friday or Saturday night now because I actually usually make my pork shoulder on a Saturday night so we can wake up and have our brunch on Sunday.
Well,
And I pull it.
well, oh, sorry.
Sunday.
Some people get brunch.
Yeah, screw up. So Sunday brunch. That's my pulled pork. My brunch. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Yeah. But that's usually what I do because then the mother-in-law will come over, whoever, friends, kids, and kids' friends, whatever. So pizza. So now I'm done. Now I'm hungry. I've eaten like earlier, but now I'm all this food, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. And I'm like, I'm hungry. I gotta eat. So I had taken a pizza out to get it out of the way because I had a frozen pizza. It was like a little 12-incher in the fridge, and I had some other stuff in there. Excuse me, and I took the pizza out and put it over on the side counter. And this happened a long time ago when I was making some other stuff. So, and now this is where this came from. So, okay, after it was done, it was kind of floppy. And I'm like, it's not bad. It's just, yeah, after it's been out a while. So it was just kind of floppy. So I'm like, what the heck, dang. And I didn't know if I should refreeze it. And I know I can refreeze it. And I'm like, well, I can just kind of cook this. And I wanted to do something with it. So I ended up taking it out of the package. And, they don't have pizzas with cardboard in them now. It's hard to find a pizza with a cardboard backer now.
I actually, 2 weeks ago, I was going around to all the pizza restaurants around town because I need cardboard, the rounds for a project. Nobody's using them no more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm weird. Like, hey, cutting costs. So I go ahead and I take the pizza. Okay, now its sauce and stuff is upright, just like it should be. I open it up and I roll it tight. I take the pizza and it's just cheese and pepperoni. And I start rolling it real tight and I get it all the way to the end. Then I get one piece of twine in the center, cooking twine, cooking rope, cooking string, and I just tie it. Done. I put it on the pellet grill. And that's that. And if you look, you'll see that post.
And you're shooting from the hip.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's got to work. But I can't crank it up because it's going to burn the outside. So I got my rat tail thermometer again, and I shove it in the end and waited for it to hit like 180. Like a pizza would be done at like 180, 200 degrees. 200 is pretty hot. It kills everything.
Oh, yeah.
I figure if I can get it around 200 degrees, I'm all good. But what am I going to set the grill at? So I can't overly cook this thing. Well, guess what? It's already at temperature, room temp. So I really don't need a lot of, I only have 100 or so degrees to go. So I'm like, okay, I'll set it at like 250. And, pellet grills are kind of convection-like anyway. I put it in the center of like the lengthwise of the grill. I put that thing in the center, following the lengthwise so it didn't hang over the edges. And I just put it on the grate. And it probably took about 15 to 20 minutes. And when it hit 200, I pulled it off. It was crusty on the outside. It wasn't burnt. It was good and crusty. As soon as I sliced into it, it was like these little rolls of just awesomeness were just coming off of it. And it was like this little appetite. Oh, my God. It was so good. So that's what I did on the last. So I started doing that. On, almost every time I make a pork shoulder now, I make sure I take a pizza out. I'll roll the pizza. But the important thing is I'm double utilizing what I got in there because the pan, the pan's this big. I got all kinds of room in the grill. So I'm throwing my, late night, snacky on there. And so that cooks up and I just take it off and eat it. And then I hit the hay and sleep like a baby until it's done the next day. So try that. The pizza roll thing. Oh, God, it's good.
Did you say what temperature?
2. Well,
200?
if it's by itself, it's around 250.
15, 20 minutes?
Yeah. And if I'm doing it with, it's 225 if I'm doing it with a pork shoulder. The grill don't care.
Right.
Pork shoulder don't care if it's got a buddy in there for a couple of minutes. It takes a little bit longer the lesser it goes. So, I think it took, the last time it took almost 30 because it was pretty cold out, like not quite like this, but it was pretty cold out a couple of weeks ago. So it took a little bit longer, but yeah, just roll up a pizza. Just get a pizza, unfrozen, get a frozen pizza, let it unfreeze, roll it up. And, if it stays, you don't have to string it, tie off one piece of string so it stays rolled, then no big deal.
Yeah.
But I do it just so it doesn't unroll. And oh my God, it's very good.
That's how most inventions and recipes were born, on an accident.
Turned into a chef and a half. Yeah, chef and a half. Not a full chef, a half chef, I'll say. No, a chef and a half. He's been a chef and a half. He's gone over and above being a chef. So Chad's a local guy, buys pellets from us, but he bought a new grill and he's loving the snot out of it. I've known he's known of me doing grilling forever, and not that he's not a griller, but he finally hit it hard. So whatever you're cooking, Chad, I hope it's good this weekend. And I haven't had any invites yet, bastard.
It's supposed to be nice this weekend too.
Yeah, I know. It's like 40 this weekend. Stupid. So pulled pork. Okay, now we're on to the rest of the pulled pork. So pan, liquid. It's on the grill, liquid. It's all changed over. It's been on, I got a 10, 12 pounder. It's been on 14 hours, let's say. Finally hit 200. Okay. Don't move it off the grill. Get a turkey baster and a coffee cup. Okay. Turkey baster, coffee cup. Go out to the grill.
Simple, stupid.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Go out to the grill and stick the turkey baster in the pan and suck all the liquid out of it. And now you have to be careful because the turkey baster will spit because you're sucking in really hot juice into a cold turkey baster, and it's not going to like it the first few times. It will spit back because it ends up the air expands in a turkey baster bulb, and it's like it can get violent. So be careful because I learned the hard way. So a little bit of juice at a time. Anyway, take all the juice out and put it in the coffee cup. If you have more juice than coffee cup, get another coffee cup because I have something else you can do with the juice. So empty all that out. Get a glove that you're going to use to rip it apart with if you use that, or get an oven mitt and lift it up and get all the juice out of it you can. Put the coffee cup on the counter and leave it alone. Now you go back and you grab the pork shoulder off the grill. And my setup is I put a towel down, kitchen towel, old one, so the wife doesn't get mad because I'm dirtying up, greasying up a good kitchen towel.
Yeah, I get yelled all the time for that.
Yeah. So I have a kitchen towel. I have containers for my pulled pork, and I have a big colander like this, like a 12, 14-inch colander, and I have it lined with aluminum foil. Okay. Aluminum foil colander stuff. Containers for my pulled pork, and I have my towel now, my beater towel. So I set on top of the beater towel, which is now a very smoky tray. Okay. I mean, the tray's got a lot of smoke on it. So don't put it on your counter because it's going to make a mess of your counter. Put it on a towel because it's smoky. It's that tarry, it's smoky because the smoke goes on everything, metal and all. So it goes on that. So first thing I do is I just grab the bone and I wiggle it out. Comes out clean, completely clean. If it's 200 degrees, that bone will come out clean. Take the bone out, throw it in the colander with the aluminum foil. The reason I use aluminum foil is that's where all my fat and excess crap goes when I pull it out because you're still going to have fat left over. So I start at the top, and whatever is really heavy fat, I take those chunks off and I put it in. I clean my pulled pork very well. When I pull it, I don't use any kind of claw or anything because I don't like mixing in the fat. The kids don't like it. I don't need it for my diet. I don't need it. So, and there's not a lot left because after you've put it on the grill for that long, that thing's rendered out a lot. I mean, it's done and there's not a lot left to go. So I take most of the big chunks of fat from on top. I put them off to the side, and you'll be able to actually pull that pulled pork chunk, that pork shoulder chunk will pull apart in pieces, and you'll have bark in some. This is where I have to get the knife and the fork and a small chainsaw and keep the kids and the wife away, because they'll come, up to the, say, oh, I gotta have some. And, all of a sudden I'm stuck with a chunk of bone and nothing's left, because they're eating 14 pounds of meat before I have a chance to do anything with it. And Julie's off there giving the dog pieces. I'm like, stop it.
Dog gets eaten before you.
Yeah, and better. So I go ahead and I start ripping it apart, and I have a little pile. I've learned. I have a little pile. Do this. Little pile over here. Colander, meat, little pile for everybody to try. Don't touch this. You got it right there. That's what you can try. And that's all they get. They know they can come over now and they can grab a little piece, because you can't, because we'll all just not eat for the rest of the day, because we'll just keep on gnawing at it. So the bark's amazing. It's moister than moist. It'll get moisture yet. So it's really moist. I take the fat off. I'm pulling chunks of meat and tearing it and putting it in different containers. And usually it's enough for a couple of different containers. One goes in the freezer, the other one stays out. We use that for the week. And I make sure there's bark in both. And before I close it up, so it takes me about 30 minutes to pull this thing, because I'm being pretty adamant about not having any fat and anything else in it. There's really no gristle or connective tissue left. A little bit of silver skin off the bone. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff, typical, but it comes pretty clean. So I get my turkey baster. Okay, now I'm excited, because I'm going to get my turkey baster back. And I get one of the coffee cups, if there's two or one, whatever. I get the coffee cup, and I take that turkey baster and I put it all the way at the bottom of the coffee cup, because the grease is on top. All the fat's on top, and everything underneath the fat is flavor, tons of flavor. And I suck it up into the turkey baster, and then I put it back into the pulled pork, because that's where it came from in the first place. And then I kind of fluff up the pulled pork, because I use my hands. I use gloves, oven, like pulling gloves.
Yep.
So I go ahead and I add a couple of turkey basterfuls of liquid, and I put it in there. Oh my God. And that's where the kids, it's world famous. Because they've had pulled pork at other places, either friends, or we go to a state fair, wherever. And, oh, nothing's as good as yours. Worldwide. It's great. So they've never had anything better. But the secret is that square pan saves all the juice, and then you save the juice, and then you go ahead and you put the juice back in it. Now, okay, so now I'm done. I'm completely finished. I've torn apart all my pulled pork. This is the last little tidbit I'm going to give you guys. So now I'm done. I got a container that goes in the freezer. It freezes great. It reheats great. Microwave. Another quick note, don't microwave anything on 100% or high. Do it at 50% and double the time. It works a lot better.
Nuke it so fast you try it out.
Yeah, and you won't if you nuke it at 50% power. Anyway, so after I add all the liquid back in it and I have liquid left, I'll save that liquid. And I'll just put it in another container. I'll warm it up so the fat melts. Or I leave it and I let the fat sit, and I'll scrape the fat off and throw it away, depending on how much is there. And usually I get rid of the fat. And then I go ahead and I take that and I put it in a container and I put it in the freezer. And I let it freeze. So after about 3 or 4 pork shoulders, I have like a cup to 2 cups, depending on the pork shoulder and how big it was, of liquid. Of this liquid you would add to it. That's my barbecue sauce. I make homemade barbecue sauce with that liquid. If you can get liquid sugar, that's the best thing to use. If not, then you have to make more like a brown sugar. You can use brown sugar and ketchup and kind of melt the brown sugar in the ketchup and then use that liquid for barbecue. Now, I'm telling you, I'm still not a sauce guy. Obviously, I'll use my own sauce before I use somebody else's bottle, but it makes such a rich sauce. It's just unbelievable. And yeah, I should have. I'll end up putting a recipe on our website. If you go to cookinpellets.com, you'll see recipes up on top. I've never put my sauce up there because I've never wanted to share it with anybody, but you have to make your pulled pork the way I do to get that liquid to finalize and make a good barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so flavorful. It's unbelievable.
You just add the sugar and the ketchup to thickness?
Well, you don't need, you start with ketchup and I'll get the recipe because I haven't made it for a while because I've had some and like we really don't use a lot of barbecue sauce at the house because the kids have loved it without it. So, we have a bunch here, but we don't have any at the house. There's a very small bottle. So I haven't made it for a long time because we just don't use it.
Right.
But I'll grab the recipe, but it's a little bit, you have to add not sugar, brown sugar. You have to use brown sugar again. So it's brown sugar, ketchup, and the ketchup's got enough vinegar and stuff when it boils down. And that'll be another one that we'll do. I'll tell you what to do with ketchup on your grill. Just ketchup with nothing else. That's not a whole show, but that's a secret, man. Secret, man.
And it opens up doors.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, so I'll put the recipe out there, but it's just 3 ingredients. That's really all it is. It's ketchup, my juice, and a little bit of brown sugar. And it makes a fabulous barbecue sauce, and it's homemade. There's no stuff in it. I mean, what better could you ask for except what's in the ketchup? But now you can get ketchup, and it's got all natural ingredients. Yeah. Heinz just came out with a 4-ingredient ketchup. That's awesome. I mean, it tastes really good. So, anyway, that's Papa's world famous pulled pork. That's the best way to do it. Try it. Let us know how you like it. Don't try it. It's up to you. Do what you want to do. I'm just here to help.
Or tell us your secrets. What do you like to do? I mean, that's what we're here for too. It's everybody can
sure
connect and share.
Send us ideas. Go to our Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. Let us know how you do things, and that's what it's all about. Is we're just trying to share the best way to make your experience on your pellet grill better. Yeah, that's all I'll tell you. The only thing I haven't said is when I use the grill, the pellets that I use mostly for my pulled pork is either our perfect mix or our 100% black cherry. That's what I use. It has a nice all over, doesn't over smoke it because those two will not over smoke because there isn't so much hickory. It could be too much, but one of those two is what I always use. The hickory to me can get a little overpowering at a 14-hour time frame. So that's the only commercial you're going to get out of me today. So other than this big black thing behind us, but that's it. That's our pork shoulder show.
Pork shoulder show.
Pork shoulder show. That's our number 3. I'm not sure what's coming up for number 4. I think Junior will let people know what's coming up. I don't know if we've talked about. I know we've talked about a couple things. You guys at home, send us ideas. I mean, that's really the way we do this. If you have a question or want something answered, I'm happy to answer it. But instead of on an email, now you're going to get it through this in my fat head. So we're going to do it this way because it's just a lot easier, and then it gives everybody else the idea. Or maybe explain the question you had and fills in more with people that are watching. So
yep. And when we figure this out, we can do more of a Q&A.
Yeah. We figured out we have to move our camera, that one right there, because it's on our computer. So I know Junior's up on his phone and can answer some stuff, but we'll figure it out as it goes on. Anyway, I am the Reverend of Barbecue, and appreciate you swinging by and listening and watching on YouTube. Give us your comments, concerns, questions, whatever over at jr@cookinpellets.com. And
good day, mate.
And that's JR. And we'll catch you guys on number 4. Just keep tuned in to Facebook and all those, and we'll figure out what it's going to be. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
And that's a wrap. Oh.